It's interesting to notice that most people we meet and who come to the retreat will talk about not feeling good enough or being self critical, or that the voice in their head is constantly telling them that they've done something wrong, that they're not doing well enough, that they're not really winning at life, or that they're failing kind of compared to everyone else. And it's interesting to understand the origin of that pattern and that belief, because in understanding the origin, it can unlock our journey to total transformation and feeling better pretty instantly. Um, as we see that people are born into a world where, from the very beginning of our lives, when we're at nursery school, when we're old enough to notice, we are placed next to others and placed into subconscious or conscious competition with them. So we go to school and we're in a class where there's always somebody next to us, and it's always visible that we are not as good as the best person in the class. So comparison comes very, very early on in our existence. So we compare with everybody in our class, and we're also competing, and that's whether we're in a place where competition is encouraged or not. It doesn't matter. We're always watching other people, and we get to learn a pattern of comparing ourselves to them and deciding that we're not as good, that we can't do the things that they do as well as they do them, that everybody else is better than us. And obviously, at school, we might go into 10, 12, 15 different subject lessons, and it's unlikely that we're the best at every subject. In fact, it's kind of unlikely that you're the best at any subject. So actually what we do is we sit in class after class after class after class, comparing ourselves to the person who's best in that class. It's not usually the same person, but we compare ourselves to the best people in the class, and we say to ourselves, I'm not as good as that person, I'm not as good as that person, I'm not as good at that person, even though there's three different people who are pretty good at those subjects. That starts a pattern of us creating ideas about ourselves by watching the world outside. So we watch other people and we scrutinize what they do, how good they are at certain things, if they can retain information. And all that's happening at school, for instance, is that we're being given ideas to be retained and memorized, and some people do it better than others. Some people are finding it easier to retain subject matter or what's called knowledge, and others are finding it more difficult to apply it or retain it. And as we start to notice that that's what's happening, we get into a pattern of just comparing ourselves to everybody who we ever meet. So we get into a conditioned response, which is, I'm not as good as him, I'm not as good as her, I can't do that as well. Why can't I do that? You see somebody who's playing the guitar perfectly and you think, why can't I play guitar? Why didn't I learn piano? Why didn't I take up art when you see somebody who can do something better than you? Why didn't I go to university for longer because you've found somebody who's got a high flying job and earns more money than you? But it's not even just that. You in every interaction, you go out socially, and all you do is figure out who's more confident, who's better at articulating themselves, who can do things better, and you keep telling yourself, I'm not as good as this person, I'm not as good as that person, I'm finding this difficult, I shouldn't be finding this difficult. And that's you looking at your surroundings, as you do with everything, and creating an idea about the people and things within it. And most of the ideas you create a self idea too. Even the ones that are not about other people are creating a idea of, oh, I like this thing, it would make me happy if I had one of those, or I got into doing that thing. And the idea of it would make me happy is a self idea. every comparison with other people creates the idea of I'm not good enough. There's very few situations and environments where you're constantly thinking, I'm better than this person, I'm better than this person. And that self opinion is just as unhelpful because that gives you a superiority that's maybe not what you wanted to create. And so you may even chastise yourself for feeling superior or being that way out. But what this is underlying is a conditioned habit of creating ideas about things in your surroundings. You want to know how everything works, you want to give meaning, that's good, that's bad, that's right, that's wrong, and you are in a pattern of having experiences that mean nothing until you say, I'm going to apply an idea. I think I want one of those. I think I need this. I think I'll be happy if I get that. I think I can't do that as well as him. I'm not as good as her at that. And these are just ideas you are applying on top of the reality. I mean, who said you needed to be better than this person at anything? In fact, who said that whatever that person's doing is actually relevant to living a long and happy life and being content and peaceful within yourself? Why would being good at the guitar make you happy and peaceful? Why would being good in business make you a happier, more successful person? It doesn't, but you believe it does. And you believe that every single thing that you see others doing better than you is something that would make you happier if you were that much more confident, that much more capable, or that much more skilled. The pattern isn't the self-deprecation and the self-criticism. The pattern is the underlying creation of the ideas that say, I'm not as good as that person. That person's better than me. That I should be able to do this better. So the expectations you're placing on yourself are ideas too. So you expect yourself to be better. And as you create enough of these ideas, and you're doing it all day, every day, you're comparing to everything and everybody. As you do that all day, every day, those ideas stack up, and what do? They create thoughts. Ideas create thoughts. Thoughts are not a thing that lives without idea. Thoughts are the consideration of one or more ideas within your awareness. So you store the idea, the thoughts are what you get when you need to consider them and to think about them. And you hear those thoughts as the voice in your head. So thoughts are the voice in your head, and they are fueled by the ideas. The only pattern that you've got that's destructive is the creation of an unlimited number, an infinite number of ideas, both about the world and about yourself. And it is happening again and again and again in every situation. As you get enough of those ideas, the thoughts go into chaos. So in order to consider the ideas you're storing and how many ways you're not as good as other people and how many things you should be able to do better and how many things you don't do the right way, and how many ways you could have lived your life better, and the regret and the remorse you've got for the things you didn't do. As all those things stack up together, they literally act as a vacuum for your happiness, and they create the self-critic that is the thoughts and the voice in your head that is telling you, why am I not good enough? How have I done this again? Why are other people doing this better than me? So you can't stop the critic once you've created the ideas, but you can dissolve the ideas, and then there's no fuel for the critic. So learning the process of seeing the pattern of creating ideas and then learning to dissolve the ideas you've created removes the fuel for thought, which is the fuel for the self-critic. So your objective is not to start to feel better about yourself or tell yourself you're great and change the negative ideas you have about yourself to positive ones, because then you're just going to get the self-praise and you're trying to combat the negative with a positive. What you really want is peace. You want no self-critic and no conceited self-praiser. You're looking for the mind to be quiet and peaceful. In fact, so are the people you're comparing yourselves to. They are chasing everything in their lives too. They are searching for the peace and freedom and fulfillment that you're searching for. But they're doing it in different ways, and they're trying to find different vehicles to do it. The guy who's playing guitar is playing it because he's trying to find some space and peace in an otherwise chaotic mind and in an otherwise chaotic world. And the person who's chasing the money is doing exactly the same. They're trying to find the peace that comes with having more money. So their self-critic is saying different things potentially about certain aspects, but their self-critic is alive and well, as is yours. It's the ideas that all of us are creating that are fueling the voice in the head. And the thoughts are non-stop when you give that voice, give those ideas enough fuel, and you give that voice enough fuel of ideas. So if you are from school comparing yourself to everybody, comparing yourself to everything, and competing with everyone you meet, you are storing so many ideas that create so much self-criticism that it will be never ending. And those ideas don't go away until you have recognized that you are storing them, so you stop putting them in, and that you can dissolve them. So you learn the techniques that dissolve ideas at their source rather than living in the chaos of the thoughts they create.